Hi, this is the business guy, the CEO of Asset Protection Planners, and in this video, we'll cover some of the common asset protection examples and why you need them in this crazy world of people suing each other and trying to take your wealth. When you've never had an issue with a lawsuit or had to face a financial crisis, it can be easy to think that you'll continue to be safe. You run a good business, you keep your personal and professional affairs above board, and are an honest, hardworking person. How could you ever be sued or threatened by a lawsuit? The truth is that bad things can still happen to good people, and you'll likely have been lucky so far. The Legal Research Network found there are about 15 million lawsuits filed in the U.S. every year. This means there's one new lawsuit for every 12 adults. Facing those odds every year isn't good. A single lawsuit can wipe out everything you've worked so hard to build. Everything doesn't have to be lost, however. Setting up an asset protection plan now can save you the financial and personal stress you might face later. And if you appreciate this information, please click the like button below so YouTube promotes this video. Thanks so much. And if you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button below and notification bell so that when more videos come out like this one, you'll be up to date right away. Asset protection definition. To better understand what asset protection is, let's start out by defining it. Per the Asset Protection Society, asset protection is protecting your wealth from anyone or anything that can take your money. Anyone with any significant amount of wealth should have a plan to keep their wealth safe. The earlier you start forming your plan, the better off you are. Once you are already facing a lawsuit, there are still options, but they become more limited. Your asset protection strategies can be simple or complicated. Plus, the expense of the strategy will vary depending on how much protection you need. So it's good to have a general understanding of your options. That way, you can talk with one of our asset protection attorneys or consultants, and it'll mean so much more to you. Then the two of you can more readily create your best plan for your unique situation. Examples of threats to your assets. Now let's suppose you have a good reputation, you've already been careful with how you use your money, thus you may still be skeptical as to why you need an asset protection plan. Any individual or company has potential threats to their assets, especially those with a lot to lose. Keep in mind, the threats don't end with just lawsuits. Money Crashers breaks down the potential liability into two categories, professional and personal. For your business lawsuits, dealing directly with your products and services are a large part of professional liability. They include such possibility as trademark infringement and breach of contract. Your employees can also threaten your assets when something occurs in the workplace. Examples are sexual harassment, employment discrimination, and work-related vehicle accidents, and worker compensation. Your customers could file a claim of faulty products, malpractice, or have a slip and fall accident on your property. In your personal life, things like divorce, debt, medical bills, and foreclosures are well-known risks to your assets. Other problems can come if you haven't taken specific steps to separate your personal and professional assets. Employee actions and vicarious liability when your business partner or employee has an accident can result in lawsuit threat to your personal assets as well. You can be held liable in an automobile accident if your dependent drivers are uninsured or underinsured. If someone gets hurt on your property, regardless of whether you are present or not, you might still be liable. You have a callable loan and your lender demands repayment immediately. Your assets can be seized to cover the debt. And keep in mind that you can always be sued for far more than your insurance covers. Now let's talk about 4 asset protection examples. To protect yourself or your business from one of these liabilities, there are several different strategies you might consider. Number 1 is domestic trusts. One way to keep your assets out of the hands of creditors is with an asset protection trust. Transfer some or all of your assets into the trust run by an independent trustee, and doing so can shield those assets for you and or your children and allow you to receive distributions. Now, there are a variety of trust types available out there in locations all over the world. Although some people generally think of only the wealthy using offshore trusts, there are some options within the U.S. as well. A handful of states, including Alaska, Delaware, Rhode Island, Nevada, and South Dakota, allow asset protection trusts. However, the case law does not look very favorable unless the person and or his assets are actually in that state as well. There are several requirements for setting up a domestic asset protection trust, which Investopedia goes on to explain. The trust must be irrevocable. It must have an independent trustee that is either an individual, bank, or company located in the state or country. Distributions are only allowed at the trustee's discretion, which is called a spendthrift trust. The trust documents, administration, and assets must either be partially or entirely located within the trust jurisdiction. State statutes do vary, however, and it's best to check the laws of the state first, and it is very important to note that domestic judges have jurisdiction over domestic trusts. So setting up a trust offshore is a much better option for asset protection. An offshore trustee can refuse your domestic court orders. So to maximize asset protection, offshore trusts are some of the strongest legal tools. Which brings us to example number 2, offshore trusts, the strongest asset protection example. Now here's the strongest asset protection example, the offshore trust. If you choose an offshore trust for your assets, some of the setup and provisions are the same as with a domestic trust. However, offshore or foreign trusts offer a layer of protection you can't get on your own soil. Protection from local courts and results-oriented judges. Here at Asset Protection Planners, we often cite 2 main benefits for offshore trusts. The first is protection from an over-aggressive court system. The fact is, foreign trusts consistently display better results than domestic ones, allowing you to keep more of your assets. Now keep in mind, U.S. people are taxed on worldwide income. So for the U.S. person, these trusts are typically tax neutral. A second benefit is that a judge in your country can't compel a foreign trustee. Thus, the offshore trustee does not need to provide a creditor access to those funds and assets. Even if a creditor decides to pursue those assets, an expensive legal battle would ensue. Moreover, keep in mind, it would ensue in that offshore jurisdiction that is very friendly to debtors, making this option very unfavorable to the creditor. A foreign trust still allows you to access the benefits of your assets and gives you extra security. It can also allow a foreign trustee to advise you on the best course of action to grow your assets within that specific trust. The difficulty and expense of securing an offshore trust will depend on the jurisdiction's laws. Now, the best offshore jurisdictions for offshore trusts are in this order: Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize. In fact, we've set up more Cook Islands trusts than anybody in the world. Best asset protection trust example. That said, one of the best asset protection trust strategies is this: setting up a Cook Islands trust that owns an offshore LLC. Say your offshore trust owns a Nevis LLC. With this powerful asset protection example, you are the manager of the Nevis LLC, you are the signatory on the bank accounts. Then when a legal warning sign arises, you can have our law firm/trustee step in as manager of the LLC. Now keep in mind, upon this event, there is not an asset transfer, merely a change of managers in the LLC. Thus, the LLC acts as the remote control into your trust. Number 3, LLCs and corporations. Creating limited liability companies, LLCs, or corporations have long been cited as strong strategies for protecting your assets. One of the reasons that this strategy protects assets is that the creditor is often limited to a charging order against the membership interest in an LLC. Now, a charging order gives the creditor the right to receive distributions from the LLC that would otherwise go to the debtor, but it does not give the creditor access to the ownership of the underlying assets, because the debtor's controlling interest may limit distributions, and this means that the creditor may receive little to no actual payment. In addition, with this asset protection example, creating an LLC allows an individual or a company to transfer assets in a tax-efficient manner. And this can also minimize estate taxes. Plus, you can maintain control of ownership transfers when you hold the LLC management position. Number 4, protecting your vehicle. Your personal or business vehicle is one of the riskiest assets you own. Accidents happen, and even if somebody else is driving your vehicle, you still have the ultimate liability. If other property or persons are damaged because of an accident, the injured party can sue you as the vehicle owner or the driver. Getting a comprehensive insurance policy on your vehicle, of course, is a good start, but it might not be enough asset protection for vehicular liability. If someone sues you for more money than your insurance policy is willing to put up, you could stand to lose a lot without extra protection. Where your insurance policy ends, an LLC can cover the rest. To begin, you create an LLC and transfer the ownership of your personal or professional vehicle to that LLC. Then the defendant in the case of a lawsuit would be the LLC and not you if somebody else were driving. Plus, by using the strategies we talked about here, your other assets could be protected. So those are some of the examples of asset protection for your most dangerous asset, your vehicles. There are 3 main reasons to create an LLC for your vehicle. First, if you have one or more family members or third parties that you allow to drive your vehicle, an LLC protects you from the liability of their accident. Second, if you own a vehicle that you use in your business, a separate LLC can prevent a lawsuit against your business in the event of an accident. And third, if your business owns a vehicle, transferring ownership of those vehicles to a subsidiary LLC that your business owns 100% of can also help prevent vehicle-related lawsuits from coming back to your company. Legal help. When you want to make sure that your assets are safe, make sure you're doing it right by consulting an asset protection professional. It can be difficult to navigate the world of asset protection alone, and having someone there to assist you can ensure that you have the most complete asset protection. An asset protection attorney, such as those on our staff, is a person who works with each individual or company to determine which plans, trusts, and business entities will best meet the specific situation. He or she also looks beyond conventional legal practice to find the best protection for their clients, even if that protection is in a foreign jurisdiction. The main goal of an asset protection consultant is to ensure they help protect your assets from the flaws in the legal system that might put you at risk now or in the future. No matter which of these asset protection examples is right for you, starting your plan can save you pain when the worst happens to you. So don't wait until it's too late to protect yourself and your business. Call and get a hold of us or complete the free consultation form at assetprotectionplanners.com to have one of our specialists contact you. Please click like, subscribe, and share this video with others. See you next time. This is The Business Guy.